And so when you are the last seller, and that's my goal, I want to be the only seller on that listing, that's when you can really command a premium price on the products that you're selling.
We're back with another episode of the Amazing Freedom Podcast. My name is Nate Slamans, joined by Andy Slamans. And at the time of recording this, we are on the second day of Prime Day. I guess, Prime Day's 2, 3, it kind of goes all week. But officially yesterday was the first day at the time of us recording this, July 12th. And it was a pretty good day. We hit $63,000 in sales for our brand in total, which is actually about $23,000 more than last year, the first day of Prime Day last year. And we were trying to go back and remember exactly which products we may have been out of stock on for our brand last year. But overall, it was just a good day. And all that without much prep on our end. And for the good or for the bad, I'm not necessarily saying this is the right way to do it, but Andy, we just haven't spent a lot of our time and effort really in boosting Prime Day sales via discounts and promotions. We kind of just let it ride. And so I wanted to get your opinion kind of on what your initial thought is of Prime Day, just in Prime Day in general. We were selling on Amazon when the first Prime Day came out, right? And every one since then. So I just wanted to get your thought on like post-COVID Prime Day. And also, we're seeing, I don't even know if it's rumors or for sure, but that there's going to essentially be a second Prime Day. I don't know if you saw that there's like going to be a later season Prime Day. So what's your thoughts on like our sales and just Prime Day in general?
Yeah, it's amazing. It shows you the power of Amazon that they're able to create this holiday that generates more sales and more traffic than actually Black Friday or Cyber Monday. And, for us, having sold on Amazon now for close to 10 years, every time Prime Day comes around, whether we increase our ad budgets or we do like this year where we don't touch anything, we don't run any sales, the amount of foot traffic on Amazon is crazy. And so, to me, again, it's just a testament to the marketing machine that Amazon has become, that we can sell, that much more, which for us was probably about $12,000 to $15,000, typically more than what we would on a normal day. And it's just because this huge amount of traffic, right, is now coming onto Amazon. I do think, for sellers that have sold for a while, you probably are aware of this. You do have to be careful. And this is why I'm so pleased that as a company, we chose not to pull any levers, not to crease any budgets, not to try to go for that top of fold ad, because Amazon will push you to increase your ads. They'll send emails saying, hey, look, increase your ad spend by 100%. Because we know that ultimately that is where Amazon makes a ton of their money, right? It's from third-party sellers like us running ads. And when you do that on a day like Amazon Prime, now you are competing with a bunch of other potentially competitors who have also increased their ad spend by 100%. So if you're not careful, right, your ad spend can go through the roof and then you lose, right, all the potential net profit that you could have made on Prime Day. And so, again, I'm thrilled that we chose not to do any of that, just to kind of keep it normal and then just take advantage of the huge traffic that is on Amazon. And thankfully, I think last year or the year before, Amazon's site actually was shut down. There was so much traffic. But this year, they were able to keep it going.
And for us personally, we just decided to do this. Obviously, some brands really are able to utilize Prime Day and make a lot of money through sales, but we do have some potential stock issues on some of our products. So that's one reason that we didn't feel the need to sacrifice margin to go crazy on sales more than we need to. There always is that risk of what you were saying there, Andy, of increasing your bids by 100%. I mean, you're playing a dangerous margin game that's sometimes hard to get right if you don't really dial in all of your cost of goods and your ad spend and the promotions and discounts. And I know, Andy, you were bringing up that a lot of Shopify stores, even this week of Prime Week, or at the time of listening to this, maybe last week, they're promoting Prime Day via Shopify stores, which I think can be a good idea for sure as well. But a lot of people giving 20% discounts to go to Amazon and shop via Prime Day. And then you're also paying Amazon the standard typically 15% referral fee, you're talking about deep discounts. So this is where it gets interesting just for us. We've, now that we're at the point where we are with our brand, where we're trying to do our $10 million challenge this year. And so just selling more than we have in the past, for us, it's more of we're trying to do this balancing act of the margins. And every week we're just really looking at, hey, how do we keep our tacos in check, and how do we get our margins to stay at what we feel is going to be a healthy kind of annual margin. And that's been a real challenge with, we keep talking about it, but the shipping costs going up and ad spend just getting more competitive. It's been hard to keep the margins in line. And I think a lot of businesses are struggling. And to be honest, there's, and we've been guilty of this at times too, but there's a lot of businesses out there that just are operating without really knowing their numbers, right? Every month they're maybe looking at their numbers, maybe monthly, but even a lot of brands aren't even looking at their numbers monthly. They're taking longer to look at it. And so I think in general, most brands are operating at thinner margins than they think they are. And that can be a real struggle. And so we've tried to get more disciplined on that. And that would be one recommendation, is that you are looking at those margins week to week and just making sure at an individual SKU level, you understand, at least for your top SKUs, if you have a bunch, that your top 20%, what's happening week to week. Andy, I want to talk about, so we'll keep talking about Prime Day. And I think in our next episode, we'll update kind of where we ended it with the Prime week. It is an exciting week. And I think we'll definitely end, it's going to help our July sales a lot, because we started the month with 4th of July and everything a little low. So it's going to help this Prime week for sure. But I wanted to switch gears here and talk about a buy that you made. I think it was last November. It was a while ago, but like a long-term hold that you did, where you bought actually an arbitrage buy, and you spent how much money on it?
$25,000.
So you dropped $25,000 on an arbitrage buy that you basically, it was like a long-term investment. So you could have put that into crypto or the stock market or something else, right? Because it was just like a kind of a little bit of a gamble, but a strategic gamble with 10 years of selling on Amazon. So walk me through what you did and why you still make purchase decisions like this.
Yeah, so super excited about arbitrage. Those that are watching have listened to us, that's how we both started on Amazon. We're still big believers that there's tremendous opportunity out there to purchase products, whether that's products at thrift stores, whether that's products at big box stores. A lot of sellers we know, $1 million sellers, they purchase all their products online and have those products either shipped to third-party warehouses or shipped to their home and then resell those on Amazon. For me, ever since I started selling on Amazon in 2012, 2013, I flipped certain brands that we call evergreen brands. So these brands are brands that are just very well known. Folks on Amazon, they search for them by the brand name. There's a few of them that I've sold, like I've sold Milwaukee products. I've sold different toy products. Well, one of my big ones that I've sold are Nerf guns. And so in November of 2021, like you said, I'm thankful that I didn't put that money in crypto, because crypto was up then, or in the stock market. Stock market was up then. I had some money set aside in my bank. That's the worst place to park money, because you're like 0.2% interest or whatever. And so I had the money and the cash to be able to take a risk. And I had some experience in flipping Nerf guns on Black Friday at Walmart. They had a deal where the normal price on Nerf guns was $100 and they were selling them for $50. So I was able to purchase those, have them shipped to my house. They landed at my house with tax for $52. And then what you do on these evergreen type products, a lot of times when there's deals like that, a lot of other Amazon sellers are going to jump on them. So that's what happened here. And so the number of sellers on Amazon went from like 2 to 80 sellers. And so when that happens and the price starts to go down, so you have to have a long-term hold strategy. And that's what I knew. I knew going in that I was going to have to long-term hold these, didn't know how long. So this was in November. I put them all in my warehouse. I had a lot that were in my garage as well. And then you just kind of sit back and wait. And so from 80 sellers every month, right, the number of sellers starts to go down. And then the price of the Nerf guns start to go up. And so right now, these Nerf guns that I purchased for $52, there's about 7 sellers on that listing, and the lowest price on the listing is $109. So you can imagine now the ROI that I'm going to get when I begin to sell those Nerf guns tremendous ROI compared to if I would have just set that money in the bank. And so, that's just one strategy that arbitrage sellers have. If you have the cash available, you can do those long-term holds like this. So I love Nerf. I think it's a great brand. Again, it's evergreen. And now this 25,000, I'm going to be able to flip it into a lot of profit.
Do you have a target price that you're waiting for it to get to, or a certain time of year? Like, are you waiting to Q4 of this year again before you try to sell those? What's your strategy right now when it comes to when you might list those?
On this particular listing, there's 7 sellers. So I like to get down to like 2 or 3 sellers, and then I'll start to send my Nerf guns in. And eventually, and if the great tools that we have available like Keepa, you can go back and look last year that there were 0 sellers at one point. And so when you are the last seller, and that's my goal, I want to be the only seller on that listing, that's when you can really command a premium price on the products that you're selling.
And so you bought probably around, I'm just doing the math as you're talking, you probably bought around 500 of these, right? And so just, walk me through, you kind of explained it already, but walk me through your mentality of why you feel comfortable buying 500. Because for most people, I wouldn't recommend this to most people starting out, right? I think you wouldn't either. So why do you feel like this was something that was a wise decision for you to use this money to drop, $25,000 on 500 units?
So the great thing, and we talk about this a lot, about evergreen products. So those are name brand products. You can look back at the history of sales on Amazon and see the price, throughout the last 2 or 3 years. And I know, like, on products like this, if for whatever reason, say the floor drops out and I need to move these quickly, I can reduce the price to $65. I can break even, reduce it to $69 and break even. And those things are going to sell through crazy fast. And so that's the confidence when you have an evergreen brand, a name brand product, and then you have the history of those sales. You know that it's a little bit of a risk, but at the end of the day, you can probably lower your price and then quickly recoup your money.
I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but if you had to estimate how much profit you would make from this deal or this buy, what would you say at the end of the year that you'd end out with?
Yeah, so my goal, again, on a $25,000 buy on a long-term hold product like this, I want to be able to net profit between $12,000 and $15,000 on that 25.
So I ran the numbers and you pulled exactly in my range. So what I did is I calculated how many units you bought, and then you said $109. I took out 30% for referral and FBA fees for that. That got me down to around like a $25 profit per unit. And I calculated that you had about 480, and that got me to $12,019. So I did the rough math as you're talking, and you were in range. Goal. I don't know if you did the math. You probably did when you first bought them, but that was my math. That was my really rough math while you're talking. So $12,019 profit on a $25,000 buy. If you would have put that in the bank and left it there over the past year, you would be at $25,005 or whatever it would be from your interest at the bank. And instead, the goal is to end the year with $32,000 that you have to then flip into something else eventually, right?
Right. And that's the great thing about physical products, where, you have different investment instruments out there that you can invest your money in. But at the end of the day, when you are purchasing physical products, and again, it all starts with the buy, you do have a asset there that you can then sell, right? Where a lot of times, again, if you're investing in crypto, you're really dependent upon the markets. But when you buy a physical product, I have something physical there in my warehouse that I can sell at the end of the day. It may not be for the price that I'm hoping for or I want, but I know that I will be able to sell it.
Yeah. And it's, we aren't trashing on crypto. Both of us have, done different stuff with crypto at different times. It's just that I think what you're saying is that you feel like, given your specialized knowledge that you have, you can control this type of purchase a lot more. And someone else might be able to do that with crypto if they're like a wizard at it and they know the market. We don't, but arbitrage and Amazon selling is something we know. And that $25,000 buy to you was a lot less risky, given all the factors that you added up for why you did it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, for those that are just watching, maybe that you're interested in selling on Amazon, it really does come down to that name brand recognition. And that's the beauty of selling on Amazon. You can look at the history of these name brands and you can see the price fluctuations and you can get a really good idea what kind of return you're going to get on your investment.
And then I would just add this: last week, we did a whole episode talking about why we think it's so important to build a cash flowing business, which is not what we're talking about here. You're talking about long hold strategy, not a cash flow strategy. But the only reason you're able to do this is because you do have cash flow coming in from the businesses that we've established the last few years. And so most sellers starting out need to turn and flip all the time. Gary Ray talks about, he would rather have a fast nickel than a slow dime when he's starting out his business, because that's how you're going to get that compound effect. And that's the way that we always did it before. You would occasionally do long-term buys, but probably a lot less back in the day when we were doing more of the getting the cash flow business established. And so that's one of the reasons we talk about this, though, because once you do have the cash flow business established, it allows you to do these long-term buys where you can afford to have $25K tied up for a year or longer, where if you don't have that as an extra, asset, there's no way you're going to want to tie that up if you know that you're going to need that money soon. And if you talk to any investment advisor when it comes to the stock market, that's exactly what they tell you. They say, hey, if you're going to invest this money in the stock market, your minimum timeline really should be like 5 years, which sounds kind of long sometimes. Most people are like throwing money in the stock market almost like in a day trading effort where you're going to pull it out in the next year. That's really not what any investment advisor would tell you. They're saying this is long-term, 10 years even plus, don't touch it, because most people then will take it out during lows when they kind of have to. And so I think that's the same way that we've treated these long-term buys that you did in this Nerf gun. Is you're like, hey, if I need to hold this for 2 years even, I'm okay with that, because I don't need this money to live on, or not just live on, my business doesn't need this money to operate, because that's even just as important when it comes to growing a business. Is does the business need it? I love that story. I love those types of long-term holds. I want to switch gears again and talk about something that we are doing in our brand just this past week. So Andy, you and Steve went and visited a large business kind of locally to you in your area, and they were potentially interested in one of our products that we sell. Why did you even go visit? And what was maybe like a big takeaway that you had from interacting with a B2B style business that is that potentially could use our products?
Yeah. So, as e-commerce sellers, a lot of times it's easy to get insulated because you're not like in a retail situation where you have customers, actually coming into your store, purchasing your products. There's a little bit of a disconnect, from the customers, the end user. Now, thankfully, through reviews, you can get a lot of good ideas from those customers, but actually going out and visiting the actual customer who is using your product on every day, super helpful. We had a business that reached out to us. They're about a half hour away from our warehouse, and they were interested in some of our products. So Steve and I said, hey, look, we'll come tomorrow and we'll visit your place of business. And the gentleman that we met with, there's about 110 employees, and there's about 30 of those employees that would actually use our products on a daily basis. So Steve and I went there. We brought 3 or 4 of our products, and we sat them down. We said, okay, hey, look, the 30 that are using them, they're all there for the meeting as well. We said, hey, look, check them out. Start to use them right now. Tell us what you think. What we really want is feedback from you all on things that we can change, things that we can iterate. How can we make our product more user-friendly for you? And, thankfully, they were a great group of folks. They used the products, and they just gave us some really helpful ideas on, really small changes that we could make that would make a huge difference for them as end users. So for us being able to see that in action, super helpful. I actually came home right away. I was really excited because I thought that we could get those changes done relatively quickly. So I just started making phone calls right when I got home. And, one of the phone calls ended up in a result that I think we'll see in 3 to 4 weeks that is going to meet the exact need that those customers had. Had we not gone there, right? And it was a little bit of an inconvenience. I had to take 4 hours out of my day. But had we not gone there, we wouldn't have received that feedback, which probably would have not given me the motivation to really pursue some of these changes. Because I think, Nate, we've actually looked at these changes that these folks had talked about 1 or 2 years ago, but for whatever reason, we just didn't push hard enough, right, to really get those changes done. But then hearing it again from these customers, it was the motivation that I needed to say, okay, look, we got to get this done.
Yeah, something that we need to get better at, and we're actively trying to push on this now more than ever, is just continuing to improve our products. And I would encourage anybody who sells their own brand of products just to bring this full circle. The way that we get to be a Nerf in the future, right? You talked about this evergreen brand, and obviously Nerf is, been around for a while and a powerhouse, but it's because I think their company, whoever the founders were, their brand, really made it a priority to obviously put a lot of effort into the product. And at the end of the day, there's only so much marketing you can do, and there's only so much back end operations you can do. And we focus on those a lot, but if you don't have a good product, it's going to be hard to create a truly lasting brand that customers want and increase that word of mouth. Right. And so if we could get this right, and if that company that you went to, Andy, if they ended up buying, or in the future, if they do, and they really like our products, who knows how many similar operations in the future they would tell about the products. And it might take years for it to pan out. And that's the interesting about brands, is sometimes, or most of the time, the work that you're putting in is so long-term compared to the arbitrage talk that we've been talking about. When you're talking about private label brand building, it's like all the work you're doing is for years in the future a lot of times. And so unfortunately, we didn't do this 2 years ago more, because it would be paying off today more, so there's that 2-year timeline. And that's what we're going to try to get into. And I think, the big takeaway is, one, you need to just get out there and interact with the potential customers like you guys did this week. And two, you need to always be improving your products, because that's what's going to make a big difference at the end of the day. So we're trying to keep doing this ourselves. We're always learning, and we're just bringing you every week real things that we're doing in our brand to get better as Amazon sellers, real stories of how we're trying to get to our $10 million challenge, and how we've been able to establish cash flowing businesses through arbitrage, through private label, through selling on Amazon, that have allowed us to get to the point that we are at, to, sell 10 million this year and beyond. And that's what we're going to continue to try to bring to you every single week. So Andy, thanks for another great episode of the Amazing Freedom Podcast. We'll catch you guys next time. See ya.